really like this kind of twist. So, is there any example in reality you might know?
No, not exactly for this. I mean, publishing a book and nobody reading it, I think that hardly happens with people who've been involved in the Third Reich, because especially with German well-known people, everybody is really interested if they get to know something more particular about how they've been involved. Which is actually, I mean, Kurt has already published it, he just doesn't really know it anymore. I mean, as I'm saying, there are different people that you could take as a role model. Just before we started writing or having the idea, it was Günter Grass coming out with his story, but he's not at all the role model for this figure. There's different people you could name, but what I find interesting more than the role models is that this guy here, in the end, really says, "I'm sorry, and this guilt will stay for me as long as I live." And that's something that hardly anybody of the people who've been involved in the Third Reich ever says. Because it's, I don't know, they seem to be unable to admit that this guilt, even though they might be guilty more or less, it's just a part of them now. It seems for them just too hard to handle. So I think that's something important that happens in the film, and I find it, for us it was interesting that it's ironically in the moment when everything just breaks up and nobody listens anymore.
Yeah, that's what I thought. There's actually one person who did this. That's Melita Maschmann, but she's not kind of the intellectual type, but more that she was very young and stuff. And but she did all this. But you know this woman and her.
No, I don't
okay.
know.
Because I found it really interesting that. Okay, but it's the only one I know too, actually.
Thank
Thanks
you
for
very
the
much.
film.
Yeah, thank you.
I really liked it.
Any more questions? There would be. Oh, there's another one. There would be so many more things to talk about, like for example music. No? Yeah. It's hard to see you. I'm sorry.
First of all, thank you very much for that movie. I really enjoyed watching it. I've got two questions. The first is, did you have your Friedrich in mind while writing it? Because it matches really perfect and he's really entertaining and a tough guy, but a gentle one. And so did you have him in mind? And the second question is, what exactly was the idea of the balloon? Which I really like too, but I would be interested, what was your thought about that?
Well, Georg Friedrich was the way that I think during writing, I think we really recurred more on Josef Lechner, my co-author, because we knew, I mean, he knows himself, I know him very well. So, but then once we started casting, I had the idea of Georg very, very early with my casting director, Ulrike Müller, because I knew him from other castings, I knew him from a lot of films, and I liked him a lot. And as you were saying, I thought he would be the ideal cast. And yeah, he agreed to do it, which was great. About the balloon, for me, but everybody can read that in a different way. For me, the balloon is in a way, you know, a ripped off head of a person floating around, kind of. So it's in a way a sign of someone losing his head, and this kind of strange head with you know, the voices that come from there are totally unconnected to the film, which I find quite funny because it's just something totally absurd coming through the film and going again, and that was just an idea which I generally liked.
I would have liked to talk about the music and the animals too, but we are running out of time, unfortunately. So thank you very much for your questions, and thank you very much. Good luck.